Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Back on the grind. Back on the grind. It is currently a warm Monday, 48 degrees, but the temperature is going to be continuously dropping throughout the course of the day. Around dinner time, it's going to be 35 degrees with a very high likelihood of precipitation pretty much all day long. And 6:56 is the sunrise, and 6:57 is the sunset. So we're almost, actually, I think we've passed equal. The days are now actually longer than the evenings. So pretty cool. Um, so we've been studying John, and we're in John chapter 12, and we got into the triumphal entry last, and I think we finished up on verse 15. And so we saw the fulfillment of the Zechariah 9:9 prophecy, um, where he came in on the colt. And so then it says in verse 16, see, his disciples didn't understand these things at first. But when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things had been written about him and had been done to him. So, it just makes me think of um, how many times, or so many times, that um, Jesus has done something in my life, and I didn't realize it at the time, or I didn't understand it until after. Um, and that's how he reveals himself to us. A lot of times it's experientially. Like we have to experience it for us to understand, or for us to realize, or um, in the moment, um, we don't always get it, right? Um, but once we go through something, and we look back retrospectively, we're like, oh, I see where the Lord showed up, or I see his plan in that. And so many times we we have to be patient, right? We have to be patient and walk it, right? And walk the walk. And Jesus says a lot, my hour has not yet come, or my hour has come. So the experience of the walk, right? The experience of the walk. Verse 17, the crowd that had been with him when he called Lazarus out of the tomb, had raised him up from the dead, continued to bear witness. The reason why the crowd went to meet him was that they heard he had done this sign. There's a purpose between healings and sign miracles, um, and that purpose is to reveal the deity of Jesus Christ. All right. So when there's these healings and resurrections and deliverances, right? The casting out of the demonic, these sign miracles are for the purpose of revealing Jesus. And in verse 19, so the Pharisees said to one another, you see that they are gaining nothing? Look, the world has gone after him. Now, this is still very much isolated to the area. Okay, this is still primarily, and the word is still around Jerusalem and the surrounding area. Right? This is not a global phenomenon yet. And the Pharisees saw their world crashing down around them. Right? The world has gone after them. Everything they knew as the world, and that's how lofty they were about their self. They thought their life was their world, and the world was far greater than just what they saw. But look, the world has gone after them. So the Pharisees saw their world crashing down around them. Now, among those who went up to worship at the feast were some Greeks, some non-believers, right? Some non-believers, um, who wanted to worship, right? Or non-ethnic Jews who wanted to worship, who wanted to believe, they wanted to see it. So these came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and asked him, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." Right? They want to know. They want to know. If you think about it from our perspective now, um, many people, though they're not believers, they are searching, they are seeking, and they want to know. Right? They want to know. They want to see Jesus. Um, and so for us, our job is to bear witness, to share testimony, to explain the things that Jesus has done in our life, resurrecting us from the dead life to the new life. And you know, our job is to reveal the Lord. Sir, we wish to see Jesus. Philip went and told Andrew. Andrew and Philip went and told Jesus. And Jesus answered them, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified." Pretty soon, everybody's going to see Jesus, right? That's and I mean that not in the narrative, right, in the chronology of the narrative, but pretty soon when Jesus comes back, everybody's going to see Jesus. Yeah, right? Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess, whether above, on, or under the earth. And then he says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit." See, for a seed to grow, the seed itself has to die. It has to turn into something else. It has to root. It has to sprout. It has to grow into a tree, right? It has to transform, right? It has to transform. But the seed is gone, right? The seed is gone. And that seed has to die. But if it does, it's going to grow and bear much fruit. Verse 25, "Whoever loves his life loses it, and whoever hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life." Now, this is an example of a true dichotomy where there's opposing forces, opposing paradigms, right? Opposing paradigms that pass each other, I guess is the best way to explain that. But this is a dichotomy between the believer and non-believer, right? So, and what separates the believer and non-believer is fear of the Lord. Okay, fear of the Lord. See, everybody's going to um, everybody's going to confess Jesus is the Lord. The difference when he comes back of is that we confess it now, and what separates us to be the ones who confess it in heaven versus the ones who confess it under the earth is we have fear of the Lord now. Okay, that's the difference. And so, for somebody who to love his life now more than they fear the Lord, they're going to lose their life eternally. And whoever hates his life in this world, right now, right, will keep it for eternal life. And then it says in verse 26, "If anyone serves me, he must follow me. And where I am, there will be my servant also. If anyone serves me, the Father will honor him." So, if anyone serves me, he must follow me. In order to serve him, we have to follow him. In order to follow him, we have to love him and keep his commandments. That is following him. Okay, that's following him. And wherever I am, there my servant will be also. So if we serve him, right, we serve him in our keeping of the commandments, in our bearing witness, in our testifying, in our loving our neighbor, in our commissioning, making disciples, right? We're serving him. We're also following him. And where I am, see, Jesus, he's talking about, I'm going to be in heaven. There will my servant be also. We will be in heaven. And if anyone serves me, if we serve him, the Father will honor him. He will honor us by with the justification, so balancing us out, right? The sanctification, that progressive walk towards glorification, and that is where we will ultimately be honored by God in heaven. Yeah, that's cool, right? And so then he says, verse 27, my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this purpose I have come to this hour. What's my purpose? Would I die for it? See, Jesus was willing to die for it. His purpose was to serve God, to do the will of him who sent me. That's what he said. That's his purpose. And so his hour has come. And it says, even though my hour has come, and yes, my soul is troubled, right? That is a statement. Now, my soul is troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? See, when the hour comes, right, and the rubber meets the road, whatever proverb you want to use, it probably will trouble the soul, right? Because here we have to hate our life in this world to keep it for eternal life. That's what he said in verse 25, right? Jesus, he had friends. He wept over people. He had people that he loved and cared about, right? People that he loved and cared about. And so him knowing that he was going to have to, his hour had come, and he was going to have to die, be hung on the cross. He knew all this. It troubled him. It troubled him. But what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No. Nevertheless, Father, your will be done. But for this purpose I have come to this hour. What's my purpose? What's my purpose? Will I let anything keep me from it? And anything really is this life, this world that I have, the things that are around me. Am I going to let those things, the things of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life, right? The um, the influence of loved ones too, right? Um, the those influences can keep us from serving and following the Lord. But when the hour comes, what will we do?